In the meantime, several people have already arrived at the entrance of the Han family ancestral hall. Zhang Shu immediately ordered Su Song to use the spiritual puppet to investigate. Su Song was also quick to act, activating his spiritual power, and 2 spiritual puppets appeared in his hands instantly. Following Su Song's command, 2 spiritual puppets ran straight towards the ancestral hall. However, the next moment, the spiritual puppets suddenly scattered all over the floor. Su Song immediately realized that a spirit-expelling formation was arranged in the ancestral hall, most likely to prevent someone from using spiritual puppets or similar things to spy. Zhang Shu saw that the spiritual puppet was not working. He could only grit his teeth and lead everyone directly into the ancestral hall. As expected, as soon as they entered the hall, Zhang Shu discovered a shrine. Despite being separated by a light veil, the atmosphere here was abnormally thick. As the team leader, Zhang Shu immediately took out a spear from his storage bag. He carefully picked aside the light veil in front of the shrine, when suddenly Pei Ling's system popped up with a notification. Detected unfamiliar method of Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment from the outside. The system is recording it for you. Pei Ling was immediately delighted. This damn system finally did something right. However, the next second, with a creepy laughter, a fierce claw suddenly reached out and instantly pulled Zhang Shu into the shrine. The speed was so fast that it was truly astonishing. Everyone was shocked. Zhang Shu, the person with the highest cultivation level here, actually had no power to fight back at all. At the same time, Pei Ling's system popped up with another prompt. Heavenly Tao Foundation Establishment. Method disappeared. System failed to record. In the eerie ancestral hall, several people were staring in horror at a shrine. Pei Ling, who always claimed to be a king of tricks, quickly proposed to leave the ancestral hall first. After all, they could make senior brother Zhang of Qi refining 9-layer disappear without a trace. The things inside were obviously not something they could afford to provoke. The rest of the people quickly agreed. However, just as they were about to leave the ancestral hall, the candles by the shrine went out on their own without wind, and at that moment, the door to the ancestral hall suddenly closed. Su Song, who was the first to react, quickly took out a talisman. However, the next second, countless resented souls of Qi refining 7-layer emerged. Several people panicked and ran to the door in an instant. The first to arrive, Su Song pushed hard, only to find the door incredibly heavy. With his cultivation level of Qi refining 8-layer, he couldn't budge the door at all, realizing that there might be an entrapment formation set up here. Su Song quickly asked the other few people to block and buy him some time to figure out the location of the life gate. Meanwhile, Guan Snowheart's team has been completely wiped out. Only Guan Snowheart is left fleeing in embarrassment. Meanwhile, Tang Nanjai's team is fighting fiercely against the already controlled by Quang team. Jiaopu's team is immersed in illusions and unable to extricate themselves. The Ancestral Hall. Pei Ling and several others are facing endless vengeful spirits. Everyone can only struggle to resist. They watch as everyone is about to be consumed by vengeful spirits. Pei Ling didn't dare to hold back any longer, and quickly drew out the Nihil blade to use the Blood Fiend blade art. With Pei Ling's full strength output, the situation in the battle immediately reversed. The terrifying blade art naturally also made other senior and junior brothers break out in a cold sweat. Suddenly, a female ghost of the 9th level of Qi refining, peaked, suddenly rushed out and pointed directly at Pei Ling. Lu Luqiang quickly reminded Pei Ling upon seeing the situation. Blood Ghost escaping art was instantly executed. The next second, he appeared behind the female ghost, and then unleashed a powerful strike gathering all his strength. However, Pei Ling's full-strength attack was effortlessly caught by the female ghost. Pei Ling was surprised in her heart. This female ghost is really powerful. I saw the female ghost's ghostly energy erupting all over her body in an instant, followed by numerous resentful spirits appearing. Before Pei Ling could react, he was enveloped by countless resentful spirits. At that moment, finally untangled the entrapment formation by Su Song. He grabbed Lu Luqiang and ran towards the ancestral hall. The rest of the senior and junior brothers also followed closely behind when they saw this. Lu Luqiang wanted to rescue Pei Ling, but was stopped by Su Song. Pei Ling, who was in a predicament, did not just sit idly by. Pei Ling suddenly burst into blue flames all over her body. The flames instantly burned the surrounding vengeful spirits to ashes. Finally, the few people who ran out of the ancestral hall also had incredulous expressions on their faces when they saw this scene. What is Pei Ling's background? Her strength is actually so terrifying. Lu Luqiang, on the other hand, is becoming more and more accepting of Pei Ling and Jin Sumian's relationship. I didn't expect Sumian to actually give the frost marrow flame to junior brother Pei. They must truly love each other. Suddenly, Pei Ling rushed out to the ancestral hall. He ran straight to the gate without hesitation. Seeing this, the others didn't dare to hesitate and quickly followed. Nevertheless, a ghostly hand still reached out from the ancestral hall. The ghostly hand instantly grabbed a junior brother and took him away. The shocked and pale group of people could only scatter and flee. Several people planned to meet again at the Lotus Pond when they had the chance. However, Pei Ling had only run a short distance before being stopped by a familiar acquaintance. There was also a corpse lying next to that person. Upon closer inspection, they realized that the corpse was Tang Nanjai. What's bizarre is that the wounds on Tang Nanjai's body appear to be the work of a ghostly hand. Among those in the Han clan manor, the only one who has disappeared is senior brother Zhang Shua, who is rumored to have ghostly hands. In the main hall of the Han clan manor, the scattered clothing and the blushing faces of the crowd make it clear that they have just experienced a fierce battle, even though they are all seasoned cultivators who have been through many battles. They are still unable to resist the temptation of wine and meat. The illusion of being surrounded and embraced on both sides quickly captivated them, and soon they were completely immersed and unable to extricate themselves. At the same time, Pei Ling in the direction of the ancestral hall was using the blood ghost escaping art to evade the pursuit of the female ghost. Unexpectedly, he turned around and ran into his enemy blocking the way. Pei Ling just wanted to say something, but Tang Nanjai didn't buy it at all. He directly used Chidori, making Pei Ling hurriedly use the blood ghost escaping art to dodge. But Pei Ling's teammate was not so lucky. He was instantly blasted into twinkling starlight by this terrifying lightning technique. Pei Ling was shocked in her heart. My goodness! Tang Nanjai's shot was too brutal, wasn't it? I see. With a power level of at least 9,000 and my maximum 7,000, I must find a way to widen the distance and escape. Just then, Tang Nanjai's Chidori struck again in front of me. Pei Ling saw that there was no way to avoid it, and had to take it head-on, only to hear a deafening blast. Pei Ling was instantly thrown back more than 10 meters, causing the wall behind her to be smashed to pieces, raising clouds of dust. Pei Ling, knowing the rare opportunity, endured the pain in her body, and quickly used the blood ghost escaping art to escape. When the smoke cleared, there was no trace of Pei Ling under the ruins and broken walls. Tang Nanjai was suddenly confused. A Chi refining 7-layer cultivator could actually escape without a sound after his full-force attack. Who is this person after all? Pei Ling at this moment also looked depressed. She didn't do anything all day, but kept running for her life. Especially Captain Zhang Shua. Not only did he make a mistake himself, but also provoked such a strong opponent for me. Luckily I am tough. But the most urgent task for me now is to quickly leave this place full of troubles. However, in order to leave the manor, I have to wait for the Netherwater Illusory Lotus Grand Formation to reveal a flaw. It's a difficult situation with dangers everywhere. If I could just escape directly, that would be great with wolves in front and tigers behind. Pei Ling suddenly had a clever idea here. We have a system, so what are we afraid of? Just like the time in Helix Ridge City, let the system take me out. However, there are many treasures in this estate. It would be more harm than good if the system were to act locally. The things that are definitely not in the estate can only be found by Fairyly. With a clear idea in mind, Pei Ling immediately decided to cultivate the no-name cultivation technique. The system immediately popped up a prompt, detecting that this cultivation technique is the dual cultivation technique. The system is currently locating a Taoist partner for you. However, just as Pei Ling was full of joyful anticipation for the dual cultivation, the system once again popped up a prompt, detected that the host Taoist partner is not in the service area. The system will give away a new Taoist partner Pei Ling for free. Instantly want to cry without tears. This darn system is not out to scam me to death, swear to never give up. I have never seen such shameless main character before. He actually forcefully cultivated with senior sister in front of many senior brothers. Most despicable of all is, among these senior brothers, there is also one who is the childhood sweetheart of senior sister. Just now, Pei Ling was trying to rely on the system to automatically guide her out of the Netherwater illusory Lotus Grand formation. Unexpectedly, the system is going to give her a new Taoist partner instead. So Pei Ling, who is controlled by the system, ran straight towards the main hall. And the several people inside the main hall, after experiencing a fierce and intense battle. At this moment, they were all blushing and tidying up their clothes, when suddenly Dong Kaiwei let out a soft and tender whimper. She actually fell softly into Lu Fujiang's arms. Lu Fujiang hurried to support and check on her, finding that Dong Kaiwei was unharmed. In an instant, he understood Dong Kaiwei's intention. Then he prepared to turn and leave. Dong Kaiwei saw Lu Fujiang behaving so improperly, so she had to confess her feelings to Lu Fujiang in front of all the senior brothers. Unexpectedly, Lu Fujiang politely rejected her on the spot. In fact, Dong Kaiwei's deep affection is undeniable. As the person involved, how could Lu Fujiang not be aware of it? But he has long been determined to devote his life to pursuing the Tao, and not to be concerned with love. The reason he took the risk to come to the Han clan manor is to help Dong Kaiwei seize an opportunity to repay her years of friendship. Dong Kaiwei's resolute rejection of Lu Fujiang brought years of grievances to her mind in an instant. If you're not inquiring about love, why bother helping me repeatedly? Senior brother, if you dare not admit your feelings for Kaiwei, she will end up following someone else. Just as Lu Fujiang was overwhelmed with mixed emotions, a figure suddenly rushed in from outside. Pei Ling's figure appeared in front of Lu Fujiang in an instant, swiftly pulling Dong Kaiwei into his arms. At this moment, Dong Kaiwei. She was still immersed in self-blame and self-pity after being rejected by her crush. She was absent-minded and completely defenseless. Just as Lu Fujiang and the others were stunned by this sudden turn of events, something even more maddening happened to them. Pei Ling had an expressionless face. She skillfully grabbed Dong Kaiwei's collar and began to violently tear at it. With a swift sound, Dong Kaiwei's smooth shoulders were already exposed. Pei Ling casually threw the tattered outer garment to the side, and then reached for the opponent's inner garment, the entire process flowing smoothly and naturally. There were no extra movements, as if they had practiced it a million times. The cultivators present were instantly stunned, unsure of how to react. Pei Ling herself was dumbfounded, realizing that she was the one openly trying to forcibly take a peasant girl in broad daylight. At this rate, he is going to forcibly dual cultivate with senior sister in front of all the senior brothers, isn't he? This dog system. You still think there aren't enough people wanting to kill me? Pei Ling was unfastening Dong Kaiwei's belt with one hand, while quickly unbuttoning and removing her own clothes. Lu Fujiang finally came to his senses and instantly flew into a rage. You're seeking death? At this moment, Dong Kaiwei had already been stripped almost naked, only barely covered by the last two small pieces of clothing, revealing her exquisite curves without a doubt. Lu Fujiang is furious. Arcane Valley Chains is like an angry python emerging from its cave, roaring as it rolls towards Pei Ling. The chains bound Pei Ling's wrists, and with a flick of Lu Fujiang's wrist, Pei Ling's entire body was instantly yanked into the air by the tremendous force from the chains. He then fiercely smashed towards the ground before Pei Ling could react. The talisman in Lu Fujiang's hand had already been activated. A 10-meter-long megalodon suddenly emerged from under Pei Ling's feet and swiftly swallowed Pei Ling whole. Just when everyone thought the dust had settled on this matter, a burst of explosive blade chi suddenly shot out from the belly of the megalodon shark, cutting it into pieces in an instant. Lu Fujian casually shot out 4 talismans, and the illusionary puppet rushed forward to attack Pei Ling. However, very soon, a cluster of azure flames suddenly burst open. Within 10 steps of Pei Ling, blue rain of fire falls incessantly. Marionettes disintegrate upon a slight touch, swiftly turning into a pile of ashes. Everyone is shocked at how they possess such strength in Chi refining 7 layer. This little thief must have concealed his cultivation level. Everyone sees this little scoundrel as so difficult to deal with. Several teammates of Lu Fujian unexpectedly joined the battlefield at the same time, instantly clarifying the situation. Pei Ling knew that if things continued this way, her own spiritual power would sooner or later be depleted. He quickly explained that he was Zheng Jingshan's confidant, and the nihil blade in his hand was gifted to him by Peak Master Zheng at Fairy Li's suggestion. However, the furious Lu Fujian no longer cared about these matters. Don't say you are Zheng Jingshan's confidant, even if you were Zheng Jingshan's father. You have to die here today. How to deal with forced robbery and mob beating in front of the public? If it were ordinary people like us, we would naturally apologize after being beaten. However, for those related to the demonic sect, it's a different story. Not only does he not need to apologize, in the end, he can also reverse black and white, falsely accuse the victim with absurd charges. Pei Ling, who was gradually falling behind, knew that he had incurred the wrath of many. He quickly took out 10 top-grade bone-quenching pills, hoping to spend money to smooth things over. However, the anger of his beloved being publicly insulted was not something that could be appeased by a few Dan pills. The blazing anger caused Lu Fujian's arcane valley chains to suddenly shoot out, instantly shattering Pei Ling's bottle of pills. Soon after, he began to battle with Pei Ling. Not far away, Jiao Pu's gaze sharpened. He took one of the ammunition and carefully examined it. His expression changed instantly. It was indeed the top-grade bone-quenching Dan. He looked at Pei Ling with a look of uncertainty, noting the frost marrow flame in Zheng Jingshan's the nihil blade, which displayed an exquisite escaping art and a powerful blade art. Furthermore, at this moment, grabbing casually would yield 10 top-grade bone-quenching dawn. This kid definitely has an extraordinary background. A mere peak master Zheng cannot produce so many resources. The person behind this is most likely Fairy Li. Upon realizing this, Jiaopu quickly sent a message to Lu Fujian. Lu Fujian was taken aback when he thought of Fairy Li, the future sect leader, someone an outer disciple like him should not provoke. But today, it was not him who was humiliated, but junior sister Dong. If he chooses to compromise now, where is his dignity as a man, where is his responsibility, and where is his moral integrity? So I have decided to deal with this little animal. Not even Jesus can stop him. However, just at the moment when Lu Fujian used the arcane valley chains to attack Pei Ling, a fiend bee suddenly killed out and resolved Lu Fujian's attack for Pei Ling. Taking a closer look, it was Guan Snowheart who led Lu Luchong and others in. Lu Fujian was never a match for Guan Snowheart. Coupled with Pei Ling's endless tricks and strong background, he dared not act recklessly for the time being. Pei Ling instantly acted like a drama queen when she saw someone backing her up. She hugged Lu Luchong's thigh and started crying, saying, "Senior sister, you finally came. If you hadn't come, Sumian would have become a widow." Just then, Pei Ling, with snot and tears, explained, "I accidentally intruded into the main hall. Senior brother Lu and the others didn't hesitate to attack me at the slightest disagreement. They even wanted to kill me." This move instantly stunned Dong Kaiwei and the others. How could there be such shameless and audacious people in the world? Lu Luchong even subconsciously thought that Lu Fujian was trying to show off in front of junior sister Dong by teasing Pei Ling. Pei Ling naturally rises to the challenge. "Just so you know, Even if you can defeat me with just you refining 7-layer, it wouldn't give you much face. Driven by helplessness, Jiaopu had no choice but to disclose the entire course of events. This method of sacrificing Dong Xiaowei's reputation in order to prove innocence instantly put Pei Ling in a passive position. However, Lu Luqiang, although doubtful at heart, but upon seeing Dong Kaiwei, she arrogantly assumed that Sumian, her close friend and Daoist partner, how could she be interested in someone as ordinary and superficial as Dong Kaiwei? What's even more frightening is that she even imagined a scene of Immortal Leap and forced it onto Dong Kaiwei and others. Lu Fujiang cannot tolerate others destroying his reputation like this. Junior sister Dong, he angrily said. Pei Ling, this despicable creature actually violated in front of us. Not to mention junior sister Dong's improper appearance. Isn't this the best evidence? However, Guan Snowheart remained silent. Ironclad evidence? I don't think so. She then pointed at several female cultivators in Jiaopu's group and said, They are also in disarray. Are you trying to say that junior brother Pei, with his high energy, has molested everyone in your squad? I think it's your squad engaging in immoral acts in the main hall, and junior brother Pei caught you in the act and wanted to silence you. Jiaopu was just about to explain that it was because their squad had just come out of the realm of sensual desires. Unexpectedly, Pei Ling made a preemptive move, not giving Jiaopu a chance to speak at all. When I arrived, they were already like this, and it has absolutely nothing to do with me. This statement is true, I can swear to it. For Guan Snowheart, what does the truth of the matter have to do with her? The priority is to smoothly take Pei Ling away. Immediately, she was caught red-handed by Pei Ling in the act of misconduct with the Jiaopu squad in the main hall. Pei Ling wanted to kill her to keep the truth from coming out. She brazenly left with Pei Ling. Several people who successfully escaped from the main hall were walking on the windy street. As for Pei Ling's teammates, why they are mingling with Guan Snowheart. It is because Guan Snowheart's team all fell into the hands of the ghost tree at the ancient well in the back mountain. Pei Ling's team lost their strongest member, Captain Zhang Shuo. Now, only 2 teams working together can have the strength to compete with the other teams. This also greatly increases the hope of escaping from Han Clan Manor. Pei Ling naturally has no objection to this kind of cooperation. What's more, just now, Guan Snowheart was pleading her case in the main hall. This also proves that this Guan Snowheart is much more reliable than Zhang Shuo. Just then, Pei Ling suddenly discovered a bloody spherical object falling from Guan Snowheart's body. Seeing that Guan Snowheart showed no intention of turning back, Su Song, as his underling, could only help pick up the fallen item. However, what he never expected was that the spherical object was actually a human eyeball. Before Su Song could react, Guan Snowheart hugged Su Song from behind, and at the same time, took out Su Song's heart. Pei Ling was shocked. Just after saying that senior sister was reliable, she immediately changed her mind. Guan Snowheart looked ferocious as he said, just two more souls to go. My soul that was devoured by the ghost tree can come back once I have yours. Pei Ling instantly understood why Guan Snowheart was in a hurry to take him away. She needed the souls of 3 people to help repair her soul. Realizing this, Pei Ling wasted no time. She grabbed the absent-minded Lu Luqiang and ran. However, how could Guan Snowheart easily let him go? Guan Snowheart waved his hand. 2 venomous snakes charged straight towards Pei Ling. Pei Ling quickly drew her sword and slashed. In an instant, she cut the snakes into 4 pieces. Just as Pei Ling wondered why these snakes were so weak, Guan Snowheart has already rushed to the front of Lu Luqiang. Pei Ling, who knew he had been tricked, hurriedly performed the blood ghost escaping art, and pushed Lu Luqiang away. And Guan Snowheart's fatal blow also grazed past the 2 of them. Pei Ling instantly executed a groin-splitting slash, leaving Guan Snowheart scrambling to evade it. Just as Guan Snowheart was still marveling at the ferocity of this blade art, Pei Ling's fist had already blasted out. Guan Snowheart, who was already heavily injured, was instantly blasted 10 meters away by this sudden punch. Guan Snowheart, who was furious and embarrassed, quickly summoned his spiritual pet. The spiritual pet once again attacked Lu Luchang. At this critical moment of life and death, Pei Ling used the blood ghost escaping art instantly. He picked up Lu Luchang and fled towards the edge of the manor. Pei Ling, who managed to escape, dared not slack off at all. After all, true safety could only be achieved by escaping from the Han clan manor. Now, the only way to escape is to rely on the one-click cultivate function of the system. But the prerequisite is the need for a cultivate technique, which is extremely demanding. Inside the manor, cultivation is impossible without the appropriate cultivation technique. Thanks to Jin Sumian's relationship, Lu Luchang trusts Pei Ling 100%. Immediately, he took out a cultivation technique called soul draining technique. This cultivation technique can absorb the spiritual power of others for one's own use. But it needs to be used in conjunction with purifying spirit Dan cultivate, and the predecessors who used to refine the purifying spirit Dan have all passed away. The few remaining Dan pills are all in Lu Luchang's cave. Pei Ling felt happy, and quickly instructed Lu Luchang to follow him closely, no matter where he went. Afterwards, he decisively handed over the control without any hesitation. However, what Pei Ling never expected was that the system unexpectedly provided a prompt. No search results found for purifying Spirit Dan. The system will provide a freebie, a 100-year cultivation level soul-eating ghost tree. Pei Ling wondered, what kind of ghost tree is this? But he associated it with Guan Snowheart. She needs a soul to restore the spirit. That ghost tree swallowed Pei Ling's soul. Pei Ling's face turned pale in an instant. Can it be just a coincidence? What is it like to have an intellectual disability system after you travel through time? Pei Ling originally wanted to rely on the system's one-click hosting to escape from the Netherwater illusory Lotus Grand formation. However, the system is controlling Pei Ling's body, heading straight to the ancient well behind the mountain without hesitation. Lu Luchang was stunned to see this scene, but thinking of Pei Ling's instructions earlier, he had no choice but to activate the escaping art and follow closely. After a moment, the two of them arrived at Locust Tree's edge. Pei Ling suddenly stopped in her tracks. Lu Luchang was secretly alarmed. Could this ancient well be the entrance to the living quarters? Sumian's insight is really impressive. However, Pei Ling felt anxious in her heart. Seeing that senior sister Lu still trusted her so much at this point, he really didn't know whether he should be happy or speechless. Pei Ling quietly greeted the ancestors of the system in his heart. Suddenly, the once dense and tranquil pagoda tree seemed to have been awakened. The trunk wriggled a bit, and instantly numerous eyes opened densely. Seeing this scene, Lu Luchang suddenly widened his eyes at the soul-eating ghost tree. This is a presence at the Foundation establishment level. Could it be that junior brother Pei has come to the wrong place? Only to see Pei Ling still expressionless. Blood ghost escaping art is performed instantly. In just a moment, he rushed to the foot of the ghost tree. His palm suddenly reached out and pressed against the trunk of the ghost tree. A highly pure and immense spiritual power was forcibly drawn from the soul-eating ghost tree into Pei Ling's body. Lu Luchang immediately broke out in a cold sweat. Junior brother Pei is indeed extraordinary. Suddenly, Pei Ling felt a shock running through his whole body. A strand of sword chi emerged from the ancient well. At that moment, he was thrown high up in the air, and the system popped up a warning. External attack detected. This cultivate session ends here. Pei Ling, who had just regained control of his body, was about to flee. A deep voice echoed from the ancient altar, revealing a powerful spiritual soul and top-grade muscle and bone. With an unwavering mind, it was unclear which genius from this sect it was. Pei Ling was surprised by the terrifying aura emanating from the person before her. This individual seemed more dangerous than anyone she had encountered in the manor. To be safe, Pei Ling quickly spoke respectfully. I am Zheng Jingshan, an outer disciple of the sacred sect. May I ask if you are also a disciple of the sacred sect? The voice from the ancient well, Zheng Jingshan, seemed to hesitate for a moment before saying, "Your cultivation level is a bit low, but your aptitude is acceptable. You are qualified to meet me." As he spoke, several red threads suddenly shot out from the well. Before Pei Ling and Lu Luqiang could react, they were pulled into the well by the red threads. After a brief dizziness, Pei Ling and Lu Luqiang found themselves in a spacious courtyard. In front of them stood a graceful woman in red attire, while beside her sat a cultivator in a dark purple robe. "Han Sigu, senior brother, is still alive." Lu Luqiang's pupils suddenly contracted, and he exclaimed in shock. Pei Ling was shocked to hear this. He had heard Han Sigu's story on his way here, only that 10 years ago, he went missing while searching for the method to establish the Heavenly Tao Foundation. He never thought that he not only did not die, but also returned to the Han family. What puzzled Pei Ling was that senior brother Han was clearly inside the villa, yet he allowed the Han clan to be overthrown and let fellow disciples fight each other. Han Sigu burst into laughter, as if this question was the funniest joke he had ever heard. When did sacred sect ever stipulate that fellow disciples must support each other? How does it matter that I consumed some fellow disciples' essence blood for cultivating cursed Ghost Tao Foundation? Before the words had even faded, several red threads burst out from behind, instantly pulling Lu Luqiang into midair. Pei Ling wanted to step forward to rescue, but the gap in cultivation level became a chasm that he could never cross. Han Sigu slowly said, "The foundation of cursed Ghost Tao consists of 3 tribulations. The old man has already passed the first 2 tribulations, but the third one requires self-binding of the flesh body to struggle for the Tao with cursed ghost. The old man sees that you have extraordinary talents. You only need to help the old man with one thing, and the old man will spare your Taoist partner, and even bestow upon you the method of establishing the Heavenly Tao Foundation." Pei Ling did not refuse Han Sigu and continued saying, "The cursed ghost is no different from me in strength and appearance. Only by defeating the cursed ghost can we achieve the establishment of the Heavenly Tao Foundation. I order you to go to the Han clan's treasury near the Lotus Pond. Fetch my destined flying sword, Blood River Sword, for me. Villa treasure house that everyone is desperately searching for. It turns out that it is located inside the Lotus Pond near the entrance, when they first entered the villa." However, Pei Ling, who knows the location of the treasure trove, feels no excitement at all. Just because Pei Ling knows that Han Sigu's promise is unreliable, not to mention that the camaraderie within the sacred sect is a joke. If he really managed to retrieve the Blood River Sword for the other party, and even help them establish a Heavenly Tao Foundation, he will no longer have any value to be used. Following Han Sigu's style, he and Lu Luqiang will undoubtedly not escape the fate of being killed. Suddenly, 3 sharp sword chi appeared out of thin air, wrapped in a fierce bloody light, fiercely slashing towards Pei Ling. Pei Ling couldn't help but be greatly surprised. Blood ghost escaping art is executed in an instant, between the twinkling of an eye. He flashed through the gap in the sword chi. He avoided the first 2 sword chi. At the same time, Blood Fiend blade art was pushed to its limit. He desperately blocked the 3rd sword chi. However, before Pei Ling could catch her breath, Blood River Sword arrived at the Lotus Pond with lightning speed and killed Dong Kai Wei. Only to see Blood River Sword, all over in deep purple, like dried bloodstains, with a strong smell of blood lingering around. Upon closer inspection, it seems as if millions of resentful spirits are entwined within, emitting silent screams. Why do you have the aura of its master on you? Just as Pei Ling was at a loss for how to respond, Blood River Sword suddenly slashed towards a figure in the distance, 3 strikes in total. Following a thunderous sound, the figure also gradually emerged. The person who came was Tang Nanjai, and he also has the bloodline set by Han Sigu. Pei Ling was surprised. It's a small world. Could it be that senior brother Han has also found him? It seems that either he or I will encounter the cursed ghost. Just as the two were at a standoff, Blood River Sword Spirit spoke up. "Both of you have the mark of a master on you. Where is my master?" Pei Ling had a sudden inspiration and came from the ancient well in the back mountain to count the treasures, as instructed by Senior Brother Han, and to fetch something for Senior Brother Han. Tang Nanjai was momentarily stunned, but quickly understood. He tacitly said, "I came from the Ancestral Hall, also on a mission from Senior Brother Han to retrieve something from the treasure trove." In the matter of deceiving the Blood River Sword, the two briefly reached a consensus, only to hear the Blood River Sword whispering, "You came from the ancient well, you came from the Ancestral Hall. No! One of these two masters must be transformed by the cursed ghost." Pei Ling immediately explained, "Did your master encounter me first at the ancient well, then later find Senior Brother Tang at the Ancestral Hall? Anyway, your master ordered us to inventory the treasure trove. Are you trying to defy orders?" The Blood River Sword Spirit, who isn't very bright to begin with, didn't resist once it heard it was your master's command. The two of them passed through an invisible barrier and entered the treasure trove. Pei Ling didn't even have time to see the scene in front of her. The system began a series of screen swipes, detecting an unfamiliar cultivation technique from the outside world. The system is currently recording it. Detected unfamiliar techniques from the outside world. Detected unfamiliar forging techniques from the outside world. Detected unfamiliar formation system being recorded from the outside world. The dense beeping almost made Pei Ling instantly deaf. He endured the discomfort and looked around. Suddenly, Tang Nanjai's gaze sharpened, and he looked straight at a box on a shelf not far away, a pleased expression on his face. Pei Ling executed the blood ghost escaping art in an instant. He seized the box before the others could react. Tang Nanjai's expression darkened slightly. He grabbed Pei Ling's wrist and said in a low voice, "Put down the red tendril vine. Inside this box is the red tendril vine, one of the main materials for Foundation Establishment Dan." Pei Ling coldly smirked in her heart. How could she possibly hand over something that was now in her hands? Tang Nanjai, with a dark expression on his face, said, "I have almost collected all the materials for the Foundation Establishment Dan, just lacking this one red tendril vine. If you hand him over to me, Zhang Shua, the grudge between me and your junior brother will have nothing to do with you. Furthermore, after I reach Foundation Establishment, I will do something for you that does not involve life and death. Otherwise, you are deliberately obstructing my path of Tao." Upon hearing this, Pei Ling trembled slightly and then said, "What a coincidence! I won't hide it from Senior Brother Tang. The reason why I, at the cultivation level of Qi Refining 7 layer, am able to join Senior Brother Zhang Shua's team is because my skill in Dan refining surpasses others. Senior Brother, please hand over the other materials for the Foundation Establishment Dan to me quickly. Also, help me find the Foundation Establishment Dan recipe. I promise that the Foundation Establishment Dan I refine will have a share for Senior Brother." Tang Nanjai looked surprised. "You also know Dan refining. In the immortal cultivation world, this skill. High-level cultivators are everywhere, but outstanding Dan alchemists are rare." Upon learning that Pei Ling is actually a top Dan alchemist in the outer sect, Tang Nanjai decided to give all the Foundation Establishment Dan materials and recipes he had collected to Pei Ling. His only requirement is that Pei Ling must refine a furnace of Dan pills on the spot to prove that he indeed has the ability to refine Foundation Establishment Dan. As for the herbs sent out and the Foundation Establishment Dan recipe, Tang Nanjai is not worried at all that Pei Ling will embezzle them. After all, within this manner, Pei Ling is no matter what, unable to escape from his grasp. However, for Pei Ling, as long as he has the Dan recipe and herbs, the mere Foundation Establishment Dan is just at his fingertips. Immediately, he opens the system and starts refining the Foundation Establishment Dan with such skilled techniques and smooth steps. It is like a naturally perfected refining process. And finally, the top-grade results of each pill. At this moment, Tang Nanjai was stunned. Such a top-grade Dan alchemist was not someone an outer disciple like him could come into contact with. I didn't expect him to encounter one in this mission. Excited, Tang Nanjai hugged Pei Ling and gave her a crazy kiss. And he also gave all the remaining treasures in the treasure trove to Pei Ling. Soon the two of them carried the packages on their shoulders, and in their hands, bulging with items. They completely looted the manor's treasure trove, leaving it empty. Blood River Sword glanced at the scene, slightly stunned, but didn't say anything. Suddenly, they separated into two identical blood swords. Tang Nanjai and Pei Ling said, "Okay, now you should tell me who is my real master. If you cannot explain, then both of you will become blood food for me." The two people exchanged a glance and instantly came up with an idea. The ancient well. No, it's senior brother Han from the ancestral hall, who is the one truly looking at the two of them squabbling endlessly. The Blood River Sword, who never had much intelligence to begin with, instantly became furious. "Please explain it clearly to me. Who is telling the truth here? If you can't explain clearly, then all of you can just go and die." Pei Ling quickly explained. "Both Senior Brother Tang and I have only seen Senior Brother Han once, so we are sure that what we saw was real. Why don't you go and take a look personally? After all, we don't know Senior Brother Han very well." Blood River Sword's sword chi suddenly surged. He angrily cursed. "Fool! You humans all look the same. I can tell, so I still need you. Before, I relied on the Blood River Sword intent to recognize my master. But that cursed ghost is almost indistinguishable from the master, with no difference in the Blood River Sword intent." Tang Nanjai quickly said, "How about both Junior Brother Pei and I go see the Senior Brother Han that the other has encountered? By comparing the two so-called Senior Brother Hans, we should be able to identify the real one." Pei Ling reacted quickly and continued, "But our strength is low. What if the one we meet is the cursed ghost and kills us to keep it a secret? Please ask Brother Jian to give us some self-protective power, so that we won't be unable to return and report after encountering the cursed ghost." The Blood River Sword pondered for a moment, the sword body slightly moved, and two sword lights emerged, instantly entering the bodies of the two people. "I will give each of you a sword chi. Once someone intends to harm you, the sword chi will naturally react. Tell me the answer within 3 days, or else you will die." Pei Ling felt happy in her heart. This freeloading sword chi is indeed a good thing. After sending away the Blood River Sword, the two of them briefly exchanged the information they had obtained. Pei Ling went to the ancestral hall alone to investigate, only to learn from Tang Nanjai that Captain Zhang Shu had fallen. Pei Ling naturally did not dare to be careless. Upon entering the ancestral hall, he respectfully announced his name. "I am Zheng Jingshan, here on behalf of the Blood River Sword, to find the true Han Sigu's senior brother." The words had barely fallen when, suddenly, a blood-covered hand shot out. The blood-covered hand immediately pulled Pei Ling into the alcove, and at the same time, a message popped up on the screen. "Detected unfamiliar Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment method from the outside world. The system is currently recording it for you." Pei Ling, who was pulled into the shrine, looked around, only to see a stern cultivator sitting on a mat not far away. As for the people from Tang Nanjai's team and Zhang Shu, who were previously dragged into the Pearl Curtain, they were nowhere to be seen. The cultivator sized up Pei Ling and chuckled. "I presume Junior Brother Zheng has met another me, right? I am the real Han Sigu. Quickly bring the Blood River Sword. I will bestow upon you the method of Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment." Pei Ling thought to himself that both Han Sigu are offering Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment as a reward, but in the underworld sect, it is a tradition to burn bridges after crossing them. In the current situation, I need to delay and ensure that the dog system has recorded it, which is the most secure approach. As for Han Sigu's other skills, it would be a benefit to have more of them. Later, he slowly said, "The method of Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment may not be able to prove the authenticity of both of you. Before coming here, I inquired about Senior Brother Han's life. I heard that Senior Brother Han's unique Blood River Sword technique reigns supreme in the outer sect. I'm sure Senior Brother himself must have profound insights into this sword arts and sword Tao." Han Sigu was slightly surprised and began to talk about various insights and realizations in sword Tao. Pei Ling listened with a confused expression. He is not cultivated in Sword Dao, and there are few areas where his understanding matches that of Han Sigu. But what is his true purpose? However, it is just to delay the system's recording of the Heavenly Dao Foundation establishment method. In an instant, accompanied by the system prompt, the method of Heavenly Dao Foundation establishment has been successfully recorded. Pei Ling named the method of Heavenly Dao Foundation establishment and Sword Dao true intent in his mind. He naturally didn't need to delay any longer. He immediately spoke. So you are the true Han Sigu, senior brother Han. I will go now to meet senior brother Sword Spirit and persuade it to come and serve senior brother. After saying this, he was about to slip away, but was stopped by Han Sigu. Does junior brother truly believe it? I am your real senior brother Han. Pei Ling knew that something major was amiss and hurriedly explained, of course. Han Sigu also remained silent, just looking at him warmly and peacefully. Pei Ling instinctively felt that something was wrong but couldn't find any trace. All suspicions and vigilance emerged. Soon, she will automatically find all sorts of reasons to justify his actions. Pei Ling was already charmed by him. Han Sigu's lips slightly curled up, revealing a hint of a sinister smile as he calmly said, Go ahead, tell Blood River Sword that I am the real Han Sigu. Pei Ling, upon hearing this, walked out of the ancestral hall with a blank expression until she reached a deserted street with no one around. Pei Ling suddenly opened her eyes and ran away directly. At this moment, Pei Ling finally understood. Why does Han Sigu from Gujing only have eyes for him? It turns out his spiritual soul is stable and cannot be controlled by the cursed ghost. However, Pei Ling has not been able to run far yet. Just then, the gray mist dispersed not far away, and a group of people with dull expressions chased over. Pei Ling was a bit stunned. The leader was indeed Zhang Shuo, followed by the senior and junior brothers who had disappeared. They muttered about the betrayal of senior brother Han in their mouths, saying that whoever betrayed him would die. Seeing that things were going bad, Pei Ling activated the blood ghost escaping art and started to run away. Han Sigu in the ancient well learned that Pei Ling had already gone to the ancestral hall at the same time. He anticipated that the cursed ghost would make a move against Pei Ling. Immediately he said to Tang Nanjai, Hurry to support Zheng Jingshan first. Convince Blood River Sword to come see me later. I may take you as a sword slave. Upon hearing sword slave, Tang Nanja immediately became unhappy. Once becoming a sword slave, both the body and soul will be controlled by the master, never to be free in this life or the next. Han Sigu smiled slightly and asked, Aren't you willing? That boy's spiritual soul is strong, with top-grade jade bones and mastery of the top-tier blood ghost escaping art. Even without you, he can escape. I am just giving you a chance to survive. Just when Tang Nanjai was about to resign himself to his fate, suddenly, the once powerful Han Sigu suddenly exclaimed, Zheng Jingshan is dead. When you have reached the end of the mountain and the water, doubting there is no path, suddenly the willow trees are shady, the flowers are bright again, and there is another village. When news of Zheng Jingshan's death broke out, originally in a deadly situation, Tang Nanjai suddenly had value again once the news of Zheng Jingshan's death came out. Having witnessed Pei Ling's methods, Tang Nanjai naturally did not believe that Pei Ling would die so easily. He must have used some kind of fake death method to escape. However, Han Sigu did not think so. A simple fake death trick can only deceive those cursed ghost puppets. How could it deceive his fate-locking spirit string? You should know that the fate-locking spirit string is connected to the soul's destiny. Now, if the spirit string breaks, it must mean that the person is dead and their fate has ended. Han Sigu, who sensed that something major was amiss, decisively instructed Tang Nanjai. He instructed him to use whatever means necessary to bring the Blood River Sword to him. However, the proud Tang Nanjai was unwilling to become a sword slave and immediately refused Han Sigu's orders. Han Sigu's eyes were sharp. You, a mere ant, dare to bargain? Although I am controlled by bloodline, taking your life will be as easy as turning my hand." He then formed his 2 fingers into a sword and lightly pointed, easily defeating Tang Nanjai. The scene suddenly changed. A group of puppet body doubles quickly left after confirming that Pei Ling had truly passed away. A moment later, a wisp of spiritual life slowly drifted into Pei Ling's mouth. A powerful vitality suddenly erupted from Pei Ling's chest, spreading instantly throughout her body. Pei Ling sat up unharmed. Finally left. The Withering Heart technique is really deadly to use. If I delay any longer, my soul will have to have tea with Jesus. But what surprised Pei Ling was that the fate-locking spirit string on her body was unexpectedly gone. This can also be considered a pleasant surprise. Suddenly, a hand silently fell on Pei Ling's shoulder. Pei Ling quickly turned around to check. He was suddenly hugged from behind by someone. "Great! Junior brother Pei, you really didn't die. How did you manage to deceive Han Siga's fate-locking spirit string?" Pei Ling smirked. "I bought the Withering Heart technique at All Arts Hall. If senior brother Tang needs it, I can sell it to you at a discount." Tang Nanjai frowned. "I don't believe you. This spell can only conceal vitality, not make it disappear completely. How could it possibly deceive Han Siga's fate-locking spirit string? But now is not the time to dwell on this. Pei Ling has confirmed that Han Sigu in the Ancestral Hall has become a cursed ghost. In addition, Zhang Shua Senior Brother Tang's teammates, and the fellow disciples who disappeared earlier have all become puppets. I just don't know how Senior Sister Lu is doing under the ancient well." Tang Nanjai took a deep breath and said, "When I went down, Lu Luqiang was already struggling to breathe. But Han Sigu is extremely ambitious, and will definitely change his mind. We must not cooperate with him. Besides, your fate-locking spirit string has been broken, so Han Siga can't control your movements. You'd better find a place to hide, and wait for Sect to send help. As for saving people, don't think about it anymore." Pei Ling didn't respond after hearing this, only asking Tang Nanjai what his plan was. Tang Nanjai's eyes were firm as he slowly said, "Lin Long and the others are still in the hands of the cursed ghost. If they were already dead, it would be one thing, but since they are still alive, I can't just leave them behind. In addition, Brother Pei gave me a top-grade foundation establishment Dan. It will come in handy." He then flew towards the distance as he spoke. Pei Ling watched Tang Nanjai's receding figure, her heart filled with mixed emotions. It is obvious that Tang Nanjai is going to have a decisive battle with the cursed ghost. It is rare to see the leader of the Yin Realm sect so brave and fearless, loyal and righteous. But now Senior Sister Lu is still in Han Sigu's hands. Even if he slips away, he has to take Senior Sister Lu with him. Since Han Siga cares so much about the Blood River Sword, maybe we can start with the Blood River Sword. This intellectually disabled flying sword only recognizes sword intent, not people. It can only recognize its owner through the Blood River Sword intent. Its true owner is Han Sigu. But he cannot leave the back mountain. Why can't the cursed ghost pretending to be Han Sigu fool Pei Ling? Not to mention, with the sword chi given by the intellectually disabled flying sword, Pei Ling immediately smiled with joy when she understood. Hee little sword, are you ready to meet your new master? The Blood River Sword by the Lotus Pond is devouring the essence blood of a cultivator. Pei Ling's body is filled with the intent of the Blood River Sword. He imitates Han Siga's tone and lowly shouts, "Blood River, why haven't you come to help me yet?" The Blood River Sword is momentarily stunned and appears in front of Pei Ling. "Such pure Blood River Sword intent, you are indeed my master. But master, why has your cultivation level decreased?" After Pei Ling confirmed that the Blood River Sword only recognizes sword intent and not people, he instantly gained confidence. "My Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment went wrong, leading to a drop in cultivation level and sustaining serious injuries. I urgently need to leave the village for medical treatment. Open the Netherwater Illusory Lotus Grand Formation for me immediately." However, the Blood River Sword informed Pei Ling that opening the Netherwater Illusory Lotus Grand Formation only requires the command of the clan leader. Otherwise, the temporary exit can be opened using a formation-dispelling talisman. In order to avoid suspicion from the Blood River Sword, Pei Ling could only panic and claim that she had lost the command of the clan leader, and she also couldn't remember the location of the formation-dispelling talisman. The Blood River Sword hesitated for a moment, and then told Pei Ling the location where the formation-dispelling talisman was stored. Pei Ling knew that speaking too much would lead to mistakes. After leaving a command to guard the treasure vault, he quickly vanished using the blood ghost escaping art. Before Pei Ling could run far, the figure of the Blood River Sword suddenly appeared beside him.
Master, where are you heading for treatment?
Without hesitation, Pei Ling once again activated the blood ghost escaping art and ran. However, in the next second, the Blood River Sword swiftly caught up, matching his speed effortlessly. Pei Ling was surprised. Could it be that even the blood ghost escaping art couldn't outrun the older brother? Although the other party currently referred to him as Master, as long as he made a mistake and revealed a flaw. When the time comes, what awaits him will surely be the raging fury of the Blood River Sword. Pei Ling had a thought and reluctantly said,
You troublemaker, didn't I ask you to continue guarding the Han clan's treasury? I will go find the healing cultivator for treatment on my own. Once my injuries are stable, I will naturally come to find you.
Unexpectedly, the Blood River Sword shamefully informed Pei Ling that the Han clan's treasury had already been emptied by the 2 cultivators you sent, and there was nothing left to guard. Pei Ling at this moment wishes to give himself a slap. If he had known earlier, why bother emptying the treasury? With a helpless expression, Pei Ling can only temporarily keep the Blood River Sword by his side. Pei Ling quickly found the formation-dispelling talisman at the martial arts arena. Just as Pei Ling was about to abandon the Blood River Sword and escape alone, the Blood River Sword suddenly gleamed with bright light. The sword quivered and seemed to be lively. Master, I remembered. You don't need to go find a healing cultivator specifically. I can use my primordial power to heal your wounds. In the meantime, Blood River Sword acted without hesitation, summoning a massive, misty spiritual chi resembling a large blob of blood fog. Amidst it, the sword intent was dense and full of vitality. Pei Ling was overjoyed at once. He immediately stopped in his tracks, and took the blood fog in his hands, and the massive spiritual chi instantly entered his body. It's just that this primordial power is too dense. With his current cultivation level, he probably doesn't need the Blood River Sword to discover any clues. He will take the first step. He will be bursting with this primordial power. He pondered for a moment. Pei Ling hurriedly ordered the Blood River Sword to protect him, while he himself activated the system to quickly cultivate the bone tempering manual, detecting a large amount of foreign true essence in the host's body. The system is currently refining it for you. At the same time, Han Sigu, who was originally resting his eyes, suddenly had a change in expression. The Blood River Sword has left the Lotus Pond for half an hour, but has not arrived at the ancient well to find me. This indicates that it ultimately chose the Curse Ghost. If the Curse Ghost refines the Blood River Sword, I will have no chance of surviving. Rather than sitting and waiting for death, I might as well take a desperate gamble while the Curse Ghost has not completely refined the Blood River Sword. If successful, I can reclaim my personal flying sword and half of the Curse Ghost's life essence. Even if I can't achieve foundation establishment, at least survival won't be an issue. Understanding this, Han Sigu removed a puppet doll the size of a palm from his sleeve. With Han Sigu's mantra and movements, a bundle of fate-locking spirit string originally entwined around him suddenly wrapped around Lu Luchang. In this way, Lu Luchang can deceive the perception of the Cursed Ghost on his behalf. Although it can only substitute for a moment, he can also catch the Cursed Ghost off guard. At this moment, the aura of Han Sigu is rising wildly, his robe fluttering without wind, his eyes filled with a desperate madness. After Pei Ling successfully coerced the Blood River Sword into acknowledging her as its master. Originally in a deadlock, Han Sigu and the Cursed Ghost suddenly felt like sitting on pins and needles. Both sides thought that the Blood River Sword was obtained by the other party. In Ancient Well, Han Sige made a decisive decision, forcibly breaking free from the constraints of the fate-locking spirit string, just to catch the cursed ghost off guard. The cursed ghost in the ancestral hall was equally anxious. Now, it has been half an hour since the Blood River sword left the Lotus Pond. However, Tang Nanjai not only did not bring the Blood River sword to him, he also needs to establish his foundation within the villa. I'm sure the Blood River sword went to the ancient well. Just as Cursed Ghost was contemplating a course of action, a sword chi came from behind. The defenseless Cursed Ghost was instantly chopped into pieces. After a moment, the bodies scattered all over the ground miraculously came together. The two locked eyes only to realize that the Blood River sword was not in the other's hands. The Cursed Ghost suddenly understood in an instant. So that's how it is. You mistakenly thought that the Blood River sword was in my hands, so you launched an attack on me. It seems that I have won this fight. However, Han Sige remained unusually calm. The sword in his hand danced in the air. Sharp sword chi slashed towards the Cursed Ghost one after another. The Cursed Ghost, however, did not dodge or avoid the wounds inflicted by the sword chi. They recovered at a visible speed, as long as the Netherwater illusory Lotus Grand Formation was not broken. The power of the earth veins will continuously provide him with energy. On the other hand, without the support of the spirit string, Han Sige may not be able to sustain his vitality for long. However, with a deafening noise resounding, the entire mountain village trembled. Cursed Ghost was instantly shocked. You actually set Lady Blood and Soul-Eating Ghost Tree to destroy the Grand Formation. Han Sige remained silent. Blood River sword chi swung wildly, soaring straight into the clouds. From the moment he severed the fate-locking spirit string, there was no turning back. If he cannot kill the Cursed Ghost and seize the opponent's fate, then how many years of arduous cultivation? How many times he has slain powerful enemies with his sword, killed heroes at Blood River, all will be in vain, turned into nothingness. Han Sige beheaded with one sword strike. Thousands of sword chi shot out like a rain of blood towards the densely packed Cursed Ghosts. The cursed faces all over the body of the Cursed Ghost flickered for a moment. It slashed towards Han Sige with the same sword arts. Two nearly identical sword chi intersected in midair, the same strength and the same sword intent. However, the sword chi of the Cursed Ghost collapsed upon contact, while Han Sige's sword chi remained relentless. Han Sige instantly riddled the Cursed Ghost with wounds, although the Cursed Ghost could perfectly replicate Han Sige's sword arts and sword chi. But the sword cultivator's indomitable sword heart, which can break through all laws with a single sword, cannot be replicated. Only Han Sige's chilling sword intent was observed, with his sword rising and falling. A huge sword chi, mixed with the unstoppable momentum of cutting through all things, slashed towards the Cursed Ghost. Inside the martial arts arena, Pei Ling's aura is getting stronger, when the true essence of a different kind is still more than half remaining. His cultivation level has advanced to Chi refining 8-layer pinnacle. Suddenly, a deafening sound shook the earth. Pei Ling turned to look at Blood River sword. It enthusiastically analyzed that the foundation of the Great Formation is under attack. Surely the Cursed Ghosts want to destroy the Netherwater illusory Lotus Grand Formation. As for why the Cursed Ghosts want to destroy the Great Formation, based on the information I previously sensed, it is estimated that two Cursed Ghosts had a fight and internal conflict inside the Ancestral Hall. Cursed Ghosts can recover from injuries by relying on the Great Formation, so it is certain that one of the Cursed Ghosts wanted to defeat the other Cursed Ghost by destroying the Great Formation. Master, do you see how clever I am? Pei Ling felt delighted and quickly praised the Blood River sword. In this way, that means Han Sige is having a decisive battle with the Cursed Ghost at the Ancestral Hall. Doesn't this give oneself a chance to rescue Senior Sister Lu? In the ancient well in the back hill, Pei Ling finally saw the Senior Sister Lu she had been longing for day and night. However, at this moment, Senior Sister Lu's expression was vacant. Her once black hair had all turned into silver. It's hard to imagine what kind of inhuman torture she has been through. But soon, the Blood River Sword informed Pei Ling of an opportunity for revenge. 2 cursed ghosts in the Ancestral Hall have already determined the outcome, 1 dead and 1 seriously injured. Pei Ling's thoughts shifted. The life of the flying sword is connected to its owner. Since the flying sword showed no anomalies, then the survivor must be Han Sigu. The method to restore senior sister Lu to normal must also be on him. I must seize the chance to kill him while he is sick. If he recovers, even 10 of me would not be enough for him to handle at the Han family Ancestral Hall. With Han Sigu's victory, the vanquished curse ghost ultimately transformed into a blood-red jade slip that fell to the ground. The extremely aged Han Sigu looked at the jade slip with a complex gaze. This is the opportunity of the Vipra's depths from back then, the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment method. Only the breath of Han Sigu was quickly declining. The once spirited young man now resembled a candle flickering in the wind. The fire of life could extinguish at any moment. Suddenly, the already heavily injured Han Sigu was sent flying by a punch. Tang Nanjai, with a dark expression on his face, walked out not far away. Instead of immediately pursuing, he coldly asked,
"Where are my junior brothers?"
Han Sigu's face was gloomy.
"They're all dead?"
"But you could have escaped in this opportunity instead of coming here to die." Tang Nanjai was stunned. Although he had already anticipated such an outcome, he still felt a wave of great sadness engulfing his heart. He looked at Han Sigu in front of him. He did not hesitate at all and fiercely threw a punch. His punch roared like a raging sea and rushed towards Han Sigu. Han Sigu remained expressionless, accompanied by a cough. He raised a finger with difficulty and lightly pointed towards the sky full of fist shadows. A seemingly weak sword chi emerged and leaped into them skillfully. All the fist shadows were instantly cut off as if they were made of paper, effortlessly eliminated by the sword chi. The remaining momentum of the sword chi did not diminish and continued to slash towards Tang Nanjai. Han Sigu, who was supposed to resolve Tang Nanjai, was already teetering on the verge of collapse, with his life hanging by a thread. Fortunately, Lady Blood arrived in time. At this moment, Han Sigu was unaware of his predicament. In his understanding, there was no one in the villa currently posing a threat to him. Moreover, the resources in the Han clan's treasury were enough to help him recover to a self-protective state. The only thing that worried him was the whereabouts of the Blood River sword. Little did he know that the Han clan's treasury had already been emptied by Pei Ling. And his obsession with the Blood River sword was also deceived by the scheming Pei Ling. Suddenly, a sharp sword thrust out, aimed directly at Han Sigu at this critical moment. Lady Blood shielded him with her own body, blocking this fatal blow for him. And the sword that pierced into Lady Blood's body is the Blood River sword that Han Sigu has been yearning for. Han Sigu suddenly looked puzzled and asked,
"Blood River, what are you doing?"
Unexpectedly, the Blood River sword is also quite stubborn. It immediately retorted,
"What are you? Only the master is worthy of addressing me as such."
Han Sigu was enraged and said,
"Confused thing, can't you even recognize your own master? In Moon River Town, I captured hundreds of women scholars for you to use as blood food. Have you forgotten?"
Upon hearing Han Sigu's scolding, the Blood River sword immediately began to doubt its own judgment.
"That must have been quite a feast. Could it be that you are my true master?"
Pei Ling, who hurried over, was momentarily speechless.
"Oh my, I just arrived not long ago, and now the foolish sword is about to be fooled away."
Fortunately, this foolish sword lives up to its name, providing Pei Ling with room to maneuver. Pei Ling insists that Han Sigu is shamelessly impersonating Zheng Jingshan. He is the real Han Sigu. The Blood River sword, who already has questionable intelligence, looks confused again. Pei Ling knows the opportunity is rare. He must take advantage and get rid of Han Sigu before the Blood River sword realizes it in order to have a chance of survival. So he directly engages in a fight with the barely alive Han Sigu. Just as the Blood River sword showed a little sign of progress, it immediately became entangled again. "You two are so close together. I can't even tell who is who. Who exactly is my master? The world's winds and clouds are created by people like us. Once we step into the arena, time waits for no one. In this world where the strong prey on the weak, if a person wants to stand firm, he not only needs exceptional talent that surpasses others, but also efforts far beyond the ordinary. More importantly, he needs to know when to advance or retreat, and understand gains and losses. Don't provoke people you shouldn't provoke, especially in terms of knowing when to advance or retreat. A Daoist friend named Pei deeply understands the essence of this. Conversely, Han Sigu is somewhat arrogant, which led him to fail to recuperate after killing the cursed ghost. He was caught off guard by Tang Nanjai. Just when it was hard enough to resolve it, Pei Ling came knocking at Tang Nanjai's door again. Han Sigu, whose life was already hanging by a thread. He could only forcefully engage in a fight with Pei Ling. The two fought fiercely, with blades flashing and swords clashing, making it hard to separate them. Han Sigu's Blood River sword intent is surging. He swung the treasured sword in his hand freely. The sword chi filled the sky, rushing towards Pei Ling like a mountain and roaring like the sea, while Pei Ling unleashed the blood ghost escaping art to the extreme. The ghostly figure's agility passed through layers of sword shadows, directly slashing towards Han Sigu. Han Sigu horizontally blocked the sword with his own. His precious sword was chopped off by a single slash. Han Sigu was seen holding the broken sword, shouting loudly, and then slashing down. Blood River sword intent suddenly burst forth, and the broken sword in hand transformed into a 10-meter-long great sword, exuding an unmatched aura as it swept towards Pei Ling. Pei Ling retreated while engaging in battle, but was still injured by the sword chi. The two of them dared not rashly make a move, keeping their distance. Pei Ling would never have expected that despite being seriously injured and not having established the Heavenly Tao Foundation, Han Sigu would still possess such strength. If the other party still has a few more killer moves hidden, he will definitely not be able to withstand them. Han Sigu was also shocked by all kinds of Pei Ling's cultivation techniques. He would have been fine if he were in his prime. Now, hanging by a thread, he clearly can't delay any longer. To break the deadlock, he can only rely on the power of the Blood River sword to fight for a chance of survival. Han Sigu with a plan. He immediately called for Blood River sword to come and help. And Pei Ling, this creeper, also chose to ask Blood River sword to come and help. The difference is that Han Sigu is fighting to the death. Pei Ling, on the other hand, has a backup plan. In case Blood River sword chooses Han Sigu, Pei Ling will immediately activate the talisman given to him by Zheng Jingshan and escape. In this way, the pressure falls on the somewhat dim-witted Blood River sword. Upon hearing both of them calling for its help at the same time, Blood River sword was momentarily unsure of which side to support. Now both sides have reached a life-and-death situation. The Blood River sword, already wearing a puzzled expression, can only rely on its instincts to determine who its true owner is. After some contemplation, the confused Blood River sword made a decision and stabbed straight towards Pei Ling's back.